Hey, what's up, everybody? Ethan Daly here from the GigRoots podcast. I'm your host for incredible interviews with inspirational people from all across America. On this show, we tell real stories that don't shy away from the challenges of moving from marginalized to mainstream. Each episode, we speak with the people who are diligently working toward community transformation at the grassroots level. Let's go. Hey, everybody. During this episode, we're heading south to Greenville, South Carolina. If you hop on I-85, it would take you slightly less than 2 hours to get to Charlotte in the north. Meanwhile, Atlanta sits about 3 hours in the other direction. Greenville sits right in between these two major cities. Like other medium-sized towns, Greenville is facing some growing pains. With growth comes opportunity, but often at the cost of things like pricier home development. If you're one of the 200 entrepreneurs that have come through a local program known as Village Launch, you're well aware of this conundrum. There's an ongoing tension between the push for jobs and large-scale development alongside the desire to see locally driven economic opportunity. When big companies like Amazon or Walmart enter into new cities, they typically bring lots of jobs, but the jobs don't often pay that much, and so many people look to find supplemental sources of income. This is yet another example of entrepreneurship out of necessity, an increasing phenomenon that's becoming the new norm. Jeanette Brewster is an outreach coordinator for Village Launch. She moved to Greenville back in the 90s, says that the town has grown considerably, and has watched as gentrification has started displacing friends and family. At this point, if you're not all that familiar with the paradox of gentrification, you owe it to yourself to learn more. Jeanette and others like her are helping to answer this key question. What does responsible development look like for communities in transition? All right, Miss Jeanette Brewster from Village Launch. How are you today?
I'm great. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to talk to you. Um, Give me a bit of an understanding of Village Launch. Just kind of give me the overview.
So Village Launch is a one part of a larger nonprofit here locally in Greenville, South Carolina. So Mill Community Ministry is the larger enterprise, and there's like 5 different enterprises underneath it. And so Village Launch is we do everything focused on like entrepreneurship for under-resourced minorities, women, um, and that's our main segment of people that we get into the program. Just trying to help people, increase their income, build wealth for their families, and that they create sustainable businesses. So we have our Entrepreneurs Academy. That's a 9-week, 10-week program, and it's through with the co-starters curriculum. And then we also offer other alumni events like small workshops and stuff like that to kind of just keep them engaged throughout the year.
So you guys would you consider yourselves to be an ESO, right? Like an entrepreneur support organization. I know some people use
Yes.
that, some people don't. But so you guys are an ESO then. So you guys have a training. You mentioned that the Entrepreneurs Academy. How many folks have you trained?
So this is our 12th cohort coming up this fall, and we usually have between 10 to 15 people per cohort. So it's shoot. I can't do math right now.
I think that's like somewhere between 150, maybe 200 people. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it might even be a little bit more because so in the beginning, back in like 2012, before I joined the organization, we actually used to be a micro lending organization. I think they had more participants then at that time. We were under a different name called Nasha Lending. So yeah, they would go through the program and they would offer like small micro loans from like 1,000 to 5,000. But now we partner with the local organization, Community Works. So they help our students get like financially stable, and then they can offer more micro loans for them because they're certified for that type of stuff. And it helps us to be able to focus on like the business side of it and not have to like balance the two. So.
Right, right. So, what I've been noticing is that I feel like there's, in the last several years, a lot more organizations locally thinking about entrepreneurship, thinking about training specifically. I'm
Mhm.
just wondering for you guys and where you're at, what's the genesis behind that? Why do it? I guess, like, what's the point?
So for us, so Greenville this city has grown a lot. So I actually moved here in '97. And since then, like it's taken off. We get a lot of large corporations moving down here. We're a really industrial area. So it's a lot of like manufacturing work and that type of thing. But a lot of those jobs are not giving people livable wages. I'm just going to be honest. And so poverty, gentrification, um, those things. So we wanted to, as an organization, as no community ministry, we wanted to create um, programs that really touch every aspect. So we have a youth program, a farming. We want to get people access to fresh produce. We want to help people build businesses and wealth. Um, and then we also have a bike shop to give people access to transportation because we're not in a large city.
Yeah, help me understand where you guys are at kind of in relation to other
Oh, okay.
things.
So the biggest two cities that we're in between is Charlotte and Atlanta. So I-85 is like the corridor that takes you from Atlanta all the way up to Charlotte, and we sit right in between the two of them.
What's the biggest driver in the economy there? I mean, is it a farming town? Is it more industrial? Like, what do most people do for a living?
Oh, it's more industrial. It's a lot of like car manufacturers. So like BMW is like one of our biggest employers here. Yeah, so a lot of industrial car manufacturing, plastics manufacturing, all those textiles, things like that.
So
That's
then
the
with
biggest.
so with all that, so what type of entrepreneurial endeavors are people doing?
So, and so like our entrepreneurs, they're very creative. We have everything from a pastor who's starting up a consulting ministry for women. We have a guy, Tyler, who's a chef, and he does like personal, what do you call it, private dinners and caterings, and he does meal prep and things like that. We also have a lady who just launched her business. She has a dessert food truck. So food trucks are kind of slowly picking up in the area, but certain city limits, they have different regulations about where they can be and all that kind of stuff. But so the food industry is really, really good. Like a lot of the people that come through our program, they do really well when they, the ones that are starting like the food businesses. Um, Photography, web design, we've had somebody with a security service. I mean, it really is. Luckily, people are very creative and they really tap into like their own zone of genius and what that is for them, so they can build businesses. And we have another lady who's working on a trash cleaning service to employ specifically people with criminal records. So
That's awesome. I mean, I love hearing
it's
about all of that stuff.
everything.
That's fantastic. No, that's a wide array of stuff. That's really cool to hear about. So
Yeah.
you've been there for a while, over 20 years.
Yeah, so I moved here in '97 and I left and came back in 2011. So yeah, I've been here for a while off and on, but yeah.
What's it been like? What's changed? What stayed the same?
The housing market has taken off. Is so congested. When I tell you, people are moving here in droves. Just because, well, Atlanta, if you've ever been to Atlanta, it's super like packed with people and it's congested. And like we're not close to Atlanta as far as like at that level, but we're not too far. There's some areas of town I'm just like, I'm not driving over there because I'm just gonna be sitting in traffic. But there have been a lot of jobs that have come down, a lot of companies that have moved down here and they've been creating jobs. But the gentrification, man, that's the thing that when I really realized what was happening, because my husband is from this area, originally born and raised, and where his grandmother lives, like, she gets calls like every couple of weeks, like, hey, we want to buy your home. And, now like in her neighborhood, there's like $400,000-$500,000 homes right in her backyard. So
So
those
she's
type of
starting to
things.
get priced out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So and that's why transportation is a big issue, because a lot of those people that live in those communities, they used to they're used to having stores in those areas. A lot of the grocery stores are closing, so they have to go out further. They don't have access to get to the jobs because the jobs are in more rural areas. So it's just a trickle effect, and it affects everybody. So
When we talk about gentrification, I think it's kind of a four-letter word sometimes, right? We have a lot
mhm.
of negative associations with it,
Oh yeah.
right? But then at the same token, you guys are trying to create an entrepreneurial ecosystem there, right? So it seems to me that, the answer is partly lies in the fact that, we want some of these things to happen in terms of development. Like, right, we want housing opportunities, we want jobs, we want to research the economy, but perhaps when we talk about gentrification, it sort of has that negative connotation. So if you were to reshape it, like, what does responsible development look like for Greenville?
I think it's still having affordable housing for people that live in the communities, and then having a balance of businesses that come to the communities that are actually offering employment for people. So like that's one of my missions, is trying to help my entrepreneurs create businesses where they can employ other people, because I think that's the hardest part, is businesses come to an area but they don't always offer jobs to the people that live in the community. So I feel like it has to just be some type of a balance. We need the development. It's good for the city. It brings money. It brings people. It's good for our entrepreneurs to get, those type of eyes on it. But just having access to those resources, and just, a focus on the people in the community as well, that they don't get lost in the shuffle of it all.
Right. The people that you're serving, so they don't get lost. And how do you see them trying to leverage the opportunities perhaps right now that may be coming in light of sort of an influx of people and development?
As far as who?
I think the entrepreneurs that you're serving, like, how are they trying to leverage new opportunities?
So a good thing is, we're all kind of dealing with COVID and stuff that's happening. And so, of course, there's a lot of grants coming. I know our city has gotten some grants and loans federally just for the city to be able to provide to small businesses, which is really good. And it's just a matter of like getting that information out to the entrepreneurs and letting them know, like, you really qualify for this. Like, you need to apply for these grants and stuff. It'll really help your business. Having these entrepreneur programs. So our entrepreneur program is really focused on like helping people flesh out like the idea. Because a lot of people have ideas for businesses, but they don't know which direction to go, where to start, or they just want to do all the things up front. It's like, focus on one thing and then we can kind of grow it to kind of help them, like, to pull everything together for them and then get them access to the resources. So like I said, Community Works is one of our biggest partners. And so they help with like the financial piece of it, like getting your personal finances in order so that you can get access to capital. And then what we would like to do is be a bridge to some of our bigger programs where they offer larger grants or get you access to other corporations who can provide like mentorship and to help you grow and expand your business. So I think there is opportunities. It's just a matter of people like believing that, we really want you to succeed and grow. And I think there's enough people in the city who are really genuinely concerned about that, about our entrepreneurs and about small businesses, because there's a lot of them here. There's a lot of startups that come here and start their business, so they might not be, our immediate demographic, but just to be able to show people like you can do this is just trying to get them on the right path.
So what is your kind of demographic? Can you break that down for me?
So we focus on primarily Black and minority and women entrepreneurs. As you know, women at like rapid rates are like starting businesses, but it's reflected in our entrepreneur program, because like every cohort is probably 80% Black women in our classes. And it's not that we're just specifically marketing to them. They're looking for these opportunities. A lot of them, some of them are single moms, some of them are in their 40s and they've been in corporate and they want to do something different now. So it's various reasons, but yeah, that's generally like who we mostly get applying for our class. Every now and then, you might get, I don't know where the men are. I need the men to
right. Yeah. It's funny because everybody I talk to is very similar, Jeanette. Like, Black women are doing it, right? It's just, and with such a huge rate of startups amongst Black women specifically, it's just really interesting to note that in relation to, other groups and other people is the community itself. What's kind of the mix in terms of people? Is it, as far as the city, like what's
as far as the city? So Greenville is, I would say it's more Black and white residents in the city. We have a Hispanic community that's growing pretty rapidly as well. And then
How would you describe relationships between different groups of people? Right.
oh.
Let's talk about that a little bit. I'm just curious to know how are relations like that.
So we're in South Carolina, and we literally only like a couple of years ago took the Confederate flag off the Capitol building in Columbia. So
what was
I
the
mean,
reaction when that happened?
So it was divided. So my daughter actually went to college right down there, and she called me because they were like the students from her university was going to a rally to take it down, but then there was it was a dividing line with the police in the middle and people supporting the Confederate flag on the other side. And some people that I knew, you see it on Facebook and stuff, and I'm like, oh wow, but it's interesting because it's not. So like with the recent events that just happened, we had some very peaceful rallies. I was surprised, I will say that, but I think Greenville, because they have a really strong reputation for bringing businesses and stuff, the city officials probably do what they can to try to keep it to a minimum as far as like any racial issues. They keep that kind of stuff. They addressed it quickly. So like they took a stance of solidarity immediately to try to keep the peace, I would say. I'm not saying it wasn't genuine, but they know what's happening in the city and the investors and people that are moving here from northern cities. So yeah, it's I'm not from here. My mother-in-law grew up here. My husband grew up here. And so they probably experienced a lot different things probably 20, 30, 40 years ago. But
well, that's what feels like the disconnect for me is, on the one hand, I hear you say people really do genuinely care about developing entrepreneurship in the business community, right? But there always seems to be a disconnect between that and what we say is kind of some of these other issues, socially, racially, right? So I mean, I'm just curious on your side, how do you account for that disconnect? What's going on there?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't. I think it's just, people don't want to say the wrong things. They don't want to be associated. Oh, I just don't like the silence. Like people will rather just be silent than say how they really feel because, their reputation or whatever it may be. But I would just rather know where you stand, to be honest.
Right.
So
right.
It's just if we get people to just like be upfront about, where they stand and what they really want. But that's hard in this in this time. No one really wants to rock the boat. Everybody has to be politically correct, and
it's in that environment right now. But it's just funny because I feel like on a national level, right, there's a lot of divisiveness that we can point to. Yeah. It's heavily politicized and all that stuff. But I mean, we see that there's kind of this division that's happening, and people are sort of putting themselves into different camps. I'm just, wondering for where you guys are at. I'm thinking about kind of this upcoming year, what people are hoping for. So, we'll see what happens. But what are you looking forward to just over this next year as you guys try to continue this work?
I'm just hoping to get more. I want people to know like that they can really change their lives by, starting their own business. And I just want to continue, like I said, I want to continue to grow the program. I want to continue to represent our community of people.
Oh, that's all right. It happens. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but so for me, my biggest mission is just to help our entrepreneurs create sustainable businesses, because a lot of people only think like, so like we have a lady that started a cleaning service, but like, how can you expand that? How can you get employees? How can you get access? So I went to a meeting here. Where my kid is crying. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. If you gotta take care of something too, we can pause. We'll keep it casual.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Yep, go ahead. Do what you got to do.
What is wrong? I'm so sorry.
That's just life.
Oh my goodness, working from home, right?
Yep. We're all in.
5-year-old. There's a little tiny bug on the floor in the bathroom.
Oh man, that's an emergency.
Yeah,
emergency.
That's how she was hollering.
But no, you were saying about that, like the cleaning business, whatever it is, right? It's like
right.
the training is a foundation, but that's not going to be enough, is what I hear you saying.
Right. And so access to, like, I didn't even know, because I had attended a meeting where the SBDC had talked about these government contracts and bidding on these government contracts, and they had different people come in, like the airlines, universities, and how they have requirements where they have to hire a certain amount of minority businesses and give that funding to them, those contracts to them, but we don't know about it. They don't know how to get certified, how to get on these sites to get access to even see the RFPs come through. And so I would love to get more people involved in those things. So you could take the cleaning service to the airlines and be, and you can hire people to maintain the airports. They were talking about how, like, a majority of the jobs at the airport aren't even paid through the airport itself. A lot of them are contracted. They contract people to come in and water their flowers. The people that transport people from, like, terminal to terminal, those are usually contracted companies. So
these are things that would happen within the public sector. Talk about the private sector though, real quick, because that's kind of a different animal. Business is driven by relationships, but what would you hope for there within the private sector to be able to just try to develop those relationships to perhaps lead to new business opportunities?
So I feel like it's just access to, it's more visibility. So, getting them seen. So we have,
what does that look like? Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh no, what does that look like, getting them seen?
So a marketplace just for our entrepreneurs, something that showcases them, because we have farmers markets all over the city, but that's not where their people are. They need somewhere where they can test the market and people can know that they're there and that they exist. Being able to just get them more visibility out there and to the general public.
That's excellent. And that's something we're going to continue to work on. Jeanette, I appreciate talking with you. Tell everybody real quick where we can find out more about Village Launch.
So Village Launch, we are online at villagelaunch.org, and we are also on Facebook and Instagram at Village Launch.
Any cool, exciting things coming up for Village Launch?
So we are just working on a few partnerships locally. We're hoping to work with a local university and try to maybe get our program like a accredited certification for some of our entrepreneurs. We're working, like I said, with Community Works and some other people about trying to help get more funding to be able to provide like technology, because that's a roadblock for some people, especially now where we have to do a lot of things virtually. Our next class is like our first full virtual class, and everybody might not have access to a laptop or a computer, and I don't want that to be something that hinders them from being able to participate. So if we can get more funding to help with technology and those things, we're working on a lot of those. So just meeting and networking and getting some new programs out there for everyone. So
excellent. Well, I appreciate talking with you, Jeanette.
Thank you. I appreciate everything.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the podcast. Remember to support our show so we can keep bringing the most unique content featuring the world's realest entrepreneurs. Go to our website, GigRoots.co, where you can find more episodes, give a donation to the show, and stay up to date with the latest news. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for more great content. Right now is the time to celebrate marketplace diversity and to support grassroots economics. We'll see you next time.